Good morning. Oh, yellow. I. You mean my badge? Okay, let's pause here. My badge has always been yellow, like since COVID time. I've always been verified. They just changed the rules on me and have no consideration for grandfathering in people. Looks like my recording is kind of dark. I need to work on that. Let me see. There we go. What is this side? This side. Oh, I see. Okay, give me 1 second. That should be a little better. Yep. Oh, need to close the door. It is 8 a.m. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. It is a shame that I will not have someone to verify my mic check. Shame. Um, because I can't stream from the computer, apparently, because WeChat takes beef with me streaming on the computer. But on my phone, it works out. So this is what we're going to do. All right. Hope everybody's having a good morning so far. Hope your Thursday went well. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, guys. Let's see. Our weekend is coming in, so hopefully we have a really good session today. A very good talk, good conversation. Good morning, Jordania, Liu Wei, Ezu, Lily. Who else is in here? I can't actually see the attendance list, so I'm just naming the people who actually wrote in the chat. Good morning, H. 我是 H 姐姐. Let's see. Yes, happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Mm-hmm. Yes. Let me do some logins. I'm just getting nicely set up. Boop. Seems like winter is coming, my friend. Winter is here. Winter is here. The only reason I don't feel so horrible about it is because I spent the last month in Europe and it was stupid cold. So this is acceptable in contrast, you know? It is somewhat acceptable anyway. Oh my goodness, this side of the camera is really dark. I might need to do something about that. It shouldn't be that dark. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna have to put a brightness a little bit because I'm looking at my recording for the stream and it's like really dark. That's better. And right now we are in Guangdong. Yes. Guangdong's winter should never and will never, hopefully, be as bad as European winters. Shouldn't be. Let's see. We could be wrong. All right. Let's get into it. How's everybody doing this morning? What's going on? Update me. How's the life? Good morning, Alfred. Good to see you again, buddy. Alfred is becoming a familiar face with familiar wisdom. Thank you so much. All right. So let's do a quick recap, hey? So yesterday we spoke about let's see, not even yesterday. It was a combination of 2 days. So before yesterday, we were talking about ageism. Someone in the audience brought up the concern about this. They said, hey, you know, it's very difficult for people over 35, 40 years old to get a job or to keep a job, particularly in China. But we've also found that this is true in other countries around the world where ageism is actually quite blatant. So I will give you guys some examples of that, and then we will get into the topic for today. Then after that, we spoke about practical tips, like what are some things that we can do to remain competitive in the job market, even if you are in your 30s and 40s. And what are some, you know, common reasons why some companies will discriminate based on age? You know, what are some common reasons for ageism? And yeah, that's basically it. And the day after that, which was yesterday, we covered fake jobs and fake job ads. And the reason I wanted to cover that part in particular was because I wanted people to understand that just because you are applying for a whole bunch of jobs and you're not getting any responses or any sort of kickback, it's not necessarily you. It could just be that the companies are posting fake job ads. And we went through tons of different reasons why companies are posting fake job ads. If you want to get a recap on fake job ads, you should go into my channel and go into replays and check the replay from yesterday. We went over it in detail for like an hour. But really quick summary, fake job ads is just when companies put jobs out there, either on LinkedIn or somewhere else online on their website, that are not actually going to be filled. That's what fake job ads are. They're just jobs that they put there, supposedly that they're looking to hire someone, but in reality, they actually aren't. All right, fantastic. So we're gonna go over the country list first. And then after that, we will get into the topic today of how to identify fake job ads, how to identify toxic work environments, and also the contrast, how to identify positive ones. You know, there's a guy, there's an influencer from LinkedIn that I think would be amazing to have as a guest for this topic. So he's a really popular influencer on LinkedIn, and he's a friend of mine. We've worked together like a couple years ago, and all he does, he really focuses on community building on LinkedIn, business consulting, helping people with their like resumes so they can find really good jobs, placement, this kind of stuff. He would be perfect for this. But this guy is worse than me when it comes to time management. Like he has zero time and is always taking on more work than he actually should be. But that's the life, man. That's how it is. That is how it is. Maybe next time, maybe another time I'll find a way to get him on with us. See, Alfred, I remember when I was in Taiwan and trying to leave my job. I applied to 77 jobs on a test, obviously fake. Oh, Jesus. That's crazy, dude. Okay, so I wanted to go over the country listings for the ageism situation and the descriptions because I had those up for like a few days now and we never got a chance to go over it. So let's see. Okay, so here we go. We're looking at the problem of ageism, especially when you're around 40 years old or older. There are quite a few countries that actually have this problem. It's going to be a huge problem. It's going to be a little bit awkward because as time goes on, we're going to have less and less young people and more older people. So, for all those countries and companies that are practicing ageism, vayas con Dios, you're not going to do very well in the future. Unless they just replace everybody with machines. But in that case, no one has money. And if no one has money to buy anything, there's no point of even having a company. So here we go. Let me make sure that we're not getting blocked here. Oh, whoa, put that over here. Put that over here. Nope, too close. How's that? That's okay, right? That's okay. All right, here we go. So the first country on our list is going to be the United States. Ageism is a well-known issue, especially in tech and media industries. Companies often prioritize younger, cheaper, and more adaptable talent. Okay, so when it comes to media, I can somewhat understand that because most of the media, my observation, I could be wrong, most of the media from what I see is actually driven by younger people in terms of typical social media consumers, for example. I know this says media in general, but if we look at social media, we can see like most of it is consumed and created by younger folks, right? So to me, that priority in an industry that's related to media or social media to be for younger people, honestly speaking, I believe it makes sense. It does make sense. It doesn't mean that as an older person or as an older individual, you cannot keep up with what's going on in terms of media. But it just means it's much easier for a younger person to do so. Okay, and then the other industry that they listed here was tech. That one makes a little less sense to me. And the reason I say that is because when it comes into the tech industry, especially in a place like the US, where startups are more common than there are grocery stores, you know? The people who are working in tech the longest are usually the ones that have the most technical skill and ability. So to have some sort of prejudice or discriminate against someone based on their age in tech, it doesn't really make sense to me. Um, you don't need every single person in your team to be a creative or to be like the idea guy, right? You only need a handful of people to drive the ideas. So if you're going to have older folks in a tech team or in a startup or something like this, then I think that their place is pretty solid. It's like, hey, this is the project. This is what we want to execute. With all of your time and experience in the industry, let's leave it to you in part to figure out how to execute. But the creative portion of it can be left to the younger people. That's okay. I just don't see why in the tech industry there wouldn't be a priority to even have older, more tech savvy people. In fact, I think I've definitely have seen the opposite of this. All right, let's move down. All right, so the next country on the list, Japan. Funny. So with Japan, seniority is respected, but career changes after a certain age can be tough. Okay. Companies prefer long-term loyalty from younger employees. Of course they do. Of course they do, and they work them to death. Anyway, so here's one thing. I can see the phenomenon in Japan being a little bit different from what we experience in the US or in China or let's say European countries. Why is it different? Well, I'd say it's different because in Japan, it's almost by default expected that you're going to stay with the same company for most of, if not all of your life. That is like pretty damn standard. I'm not sure if that has changed in the last 10 years. But beforehand, yes, this has always been the case that once you are working for a company in Japan, there's a very high chance you're going to be staying with that company forever, for freaking ever. People in Japan don't really do that thing where they go from job to job. Um, Now, I would argue that that would be to their own detriment. It's not helpful. It's good for the company, I suppose, but it's not super helpful for the employees where they could be missing out or passing out on really good opportunities, from other businesses, other companies. So I would definitely say I understand why it can be challenging to find a new job in Japan, especially if you're in your 40s. It's just very uncommon. I think this has less to do with ageism and more to do with the expectation of loyalty to a company. And actually, the US used to be like this too. It used to be. There's a reason it's not like that anymore, right? If you were hired for a nice company like in the 1960s, maybe even the 1970s, then you're expected that you're going to be staying in that company for a very long time, or if not forever, until you retire. But there's a big difference. The difference is that in that time period, especially in the United States, those companies actually paid you a living wage. Those companies were paying you a salary in which you can buy a house, you can have a family. If you are the man of the house, then your wife can stay home, and you won't need to worry about money because the company was actually paying you enough to have a living wage for the whole family. And buying a house and paying off a house was like a 7-year commitment, not 20, 30 years. So considering how much profits have gone up, company valuations have gone up, everything else has gone up except salaries in the United States, it's very clear why people don't practice company loyalty anymore. We don't care about company loyalty because the companies have not been loyal to the employees by actually keeping up with inflation, keeping up with the costs of living. That's just the reality. But somehow profits keep rolling. Excuse me. So, Alfred says, I saw a video where a young employee outshined a senior employee because of her ability to advertise the company. Well, I mean, yeah, that can make sense. And it also depends on your comfort level. Sometimes you do have more senior employees that are just very comfortable where they are, so they have no interest in innovating or doing something different or keeping up with times, right? And they become complacent. And going to work is just routine and motions. Thank you for the likes at least. 谢谢你. I think WeChat is mad at me because the other day I was talking smack because they didn't let me turn on my video. And then now they don't recommend traffic for us. But it's okay. They don't need to recommend traffic for us. We're fine. We have enough traffic as is. All right, let's go to the next one. So the next one, South Korea, the work culture can be intense. The older employees may struggle in the competitive job market unless they are highly skilled or in senior management roles. I wonder, guys, I don't really know too much about South Korea, but I imagine that there might be a little mix between what happens in Japan and what happens in China going on in South Korea. This is my guess because I would say that maybe there is an expectation that you are working for a company for a very long time, but considering how intense South Korea could be, especially with the work culture, I would say it also has something to do with like a Jojo Liu kind of phenomenon, which Japan also has. This is very, very common for East Asian countries. So I wouldn't really be surprised. How it affects older employees or older folks trying to get jobs, I'm not totally sure. Mm, it doesn't seem to be a situation about loyalty to a company or having to stay in one company for a long time. It could just be about how competitive you are, at least according to the prompt. Good morning, Wu. Good morning, Elena. Let's see. Okay, now we're going to go into Europe. Let's take a look. So, European countries like France, Italy, and Germany. You know, before I read the prompt, actually, I found it very interesting. So when I was in Germany, my friend said like senior citizens in Germany are not really looked after, if that makes sense. Like people don't really pay too much mind or attention to them, and they're still expected to be very independent. I'm not sure what to make of that, because at least in my experience in Germany, I saw they did a phenomenal job, a great job at taking care of kids. When we're talking about the schools and the social systems, just the environment, everything that I observed in Germany with children looks really good. Looks really good. But for senior folks, not so much. Not so much. I would say like there was an old woman when I was on the bus. There's an old woman, very old woman, with her walker, and when the bus stops, because usually what happens is that when the bus stops, the bus is already like elevated, so they need to like lower the bus. So like if somebody's in a wheelchair or a walker, whatever, they can walk right off. So the driver did the driver didn't even lower the bus. Not even a little bit. Not even. It was like, hey, miss, get off. So that was a little bit off-putting. Yeah, I would definitely say maybe there's a little bit of a lack of care for older folks in Germany. And so like my friend helped her get off the bus. But at the same time, she's very reluctant to help an older person get off the bus because she's like, oh, they also can be very grumpy and whatnot. So you don't want to bother them. They like to be independent. Oof. I was only there for like a week, so I don't know. I don't know the gritty details. But I imagine if older German older German folks are like grumpy, then I can see why there might be some ageism. I don't know. I don't actually know. So let's see. The prompt says, while there are anti-discrimination laws, older workers sometimes face challenges due to stereotypes about tech adaptability or higher salary expectations. So this is the same thing. This is the same idea that we see in China, right? Where we can look at an older person and say, well, they're not as adaptable when it comes to tech. And because they are older, they're also probably expecting a higher salary. So it's not very different from China if that is the reason, right? And even with anti-discrimination laws, you still have this problem. I'm not sure what to tell you. There's very little I can do about the audio because this stream is on the phone. If I put you closer, that's probably like the closest you're gonna get, and it's gonna be a little bit funky on the image. It's actually quite funky on the image. It's actually quite weird. So I should put you back. Let's see. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, maybe there. How's that? Or get some earphones. It's like we can only do so much, unfortunately, sadly, guys. Good morning, Maya. All right, let's see. So, oh, but okay. So for that prompt, it wasn't just Germany. Germany's on the list, but it's listed as France, Italy, and Germany, etc. So several Western European countries seem to have this issue. And then we were talking about finally India. So ageism can show up in the tech and startup scenes where younger talent is often seen as more innovative and cost effective. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. India well, at least people from India can be very tech heavy and tech savvy. I'm not sure how developed the tech sector is in India right now in terms of corporate and hirings and whatnot. But I do know for sure there are tons of people who are very, very tech savvy who come from India and they end up working in big companies like Google or Microsoft, so on and so forth. So that does make sense that that is going on in India. But I think the common denominator that I'm getting here about ageism is that it's mostly related to the tech industry and related to the adaptability, right? If it's not the tech industry, there might not be so much like such a big problem. It seems, it appears. Joanna says European people tend to be independent both mentally and physically. I guess so. They hate the thought of their aging out. Oof. Doesn't everyone hate the thought of like aging out, right? Either aging out of the labor force or aging out of anything. I think most people hate that idea that you may not be as useful anymore. You know, I saw what was it? I don't remember if it was an interview or what it was, but it's one of those videos where they interview like older people who are like hospitalized and like they're like maybe they're gonna die soon from like old age. So it's one of those videos where they interview people who are very very late in their life, and one of the questions they ask them is if you can go back to any age, what age would you go back to? So tell me, guys, what do you think they said? What do you think most people said, most senior citizens said in this situation? If you can go back to any age, what age would it be? Don't be surprised, Stazzy Bands. They blocked my stream just 2 days ago, and they're gonna keep blocking me, I'm sure. Everybody's saying 18. That's interesting. 25 to 28. Everybody's saying 18, 18, 18, 18. That's funny. Interesting. So I'll just wait like 5 more seconds for you guys to put your guesses in. Stussy Ben says 33. Terry says the age I am now. Okay. Whatever age that is. Good. Okay, so let me give it to you. So, interesting that so many people put 18. So, the age that most senior citizens said they would want to go back to if they had, like, one wish or crystal ball, whatever, was 35. 35. 35, like around this number. So Stacey Benz is the closest one between they're 30 to 40 years old. So on average, it was 35 years old. That is the age that most senior citizens were saying they would want to go back to. And when they were asked why, it's like, why? 35 is such a peculiar number. Like 18 makes sense, 21 makes sense, something like that. Maybe even retirement age. I don't know. 25, sure, but 35? So the reason behind it was that most of them felt that in their mid 30s was the time in their life where they felt the most useful, where they felt that the most people needed them and used their support, used their energy kind of thing. I don't know what to say about that. Like, obviously I'm not a senior citizen, so I can't relate, but that's pretty interesting because I think for many of us, if you're like in your late 20s or going through your 30s, you probably feel exhausted most of the time, you know? And with everything that's happening in the world, how quickly things move and how chaotic things can be, especially when we're talking about technology and jobs and money, whatever, it just feels sort of overwhelming sometimes. And to hear people say, like, oh, I would rather be right there smack in the middle of my 30s where things were the most complicated and I was needed the most, it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. I can definitely understand why, if as you get older, I don't know, right? I'm just guessing. But as you get older, I get the impression that for most people, you become less and less useful, less of a priority, less people want to talk to you, less people ask you for help or information or advice, whatever. And after many years of that continuously occurring, it starts to weigh very heavy on your mind that, man, I wish I was busier. I wish more people were asking me for help. I wish more people needed me, you know? Well, hopefully we don't necessarily go through that, but inevitably, I think we probably will. Let's see. Let me catch up with the chat. This is a good one. Is it Yanzi? I think as Yanzi says, children want to be adults and adults want to be children. Yeah, this is true. The grass is always greener. That's the thing. The grass is always greener on the other side. This is the logic. See, Terry says 38 is the age that is mature enough, but not old enough. Maybe. Maybe that makes sense. Because you're not a stupid 20 something year old way burning your life away, making a lot of dumb mistakes. But you're not like in your 50s and your body's totally broken down. So I guess it makes sense. So Alfred says 35 would be a good age to go back to if I can stay at that age. But at 18, you have more years. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I understand that. Oh, I should probably put this away. Gotta charge these. Yeah. Okay, let me see. Can I move this back now? Let's see. Let's see. What is the next one? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. All right, let's pull this one up right here. So let's continue. So one of the really, really good questions from yesterday, I don't remember who's the person. I'm sorry, guys. When you guys give me some suggestions, I forget who it is because it's in the middle of a live stream and there's 100 people talking. One of the good suggestions from yesterday was like, hey, how do you spot fake job ads or bad jobs? How do we see what they are so that we can avoid them altogether, right? I think that is a very good question. And the only answer that I had yesterday was, oh, I'm blanking on that one. The only answer I had for it was fake job ads. Let me see. Oh, yeah. It was like, if you see that a company is posting the exact same job over and over, like you check the post history if it's available to you, and the same job is being posted over and over, and somehow the row never gets filled, it's probably a fake job ad. It's probably just something that they're putting there for compliance reasons, or to collect resumes and put people in a database kind of thing. So yeah, that's likely going to be a fake job ad. It's really paying attention to how long the post has been up and how many similar posts have been flying around from that company previously, you know. But let's see, we should have more now. So, number one, spotting fake job ads. Okay. So, too good to be true, high pay and no experience needed. So, this should be obvious. If you're looking at a job ad that seems to have a very high salary or very high salary range, but doesn't actually have an experience requirement, or the requirements seem suspiciously low, then chances are it's probably a fake job ad. And I think that this is going to be the type of job ad that they will use just to pull in people's information and to get an idea of what kind of labor is available in the market, what either qualifications they may have, who are the type of people that would apply. They'll put you in a database, and maybe if you're lucky, they will give you some sort of offer years later if you are available, based on the information they got from you beforehand. There's tons of other ways that will use this information that even I don't know about. But unfortunately, that's just it. I don't know about it. But yes, this would be the number one thing. Very high pay or very high salary range for no experience or very little experience. This should be a tall tale sign that it's a fake job ad. I see. Oh, interesting. So Alfred says, I've spotted many fake job ads before. Another red flag is if there is no specific start date. Ah, I see. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. If we consider the circumstances, that would make sense, especially if you're looking at like a management position where those kind of positions need to be filled and covered as soon as possible, right? But there's no specific start date. What I would say is like if you have like a general job ad for like a salesperson or a clerk or something like that, I can see why there's no start date because they probably have just a lot of people that they need to fill those roles and they kind of go in and out. So in that situation, I can see why there's no start date. But for either a mid-level or a more senior position with no specific start date, that is pretty suspicious. That is highly suspicious. Okay, let's go to the next one. So, another way for spotting a fake job ad: vague job descriptions, no clear duties or required skills. That's one thing, is that typically fake job ads will have very vague descriptions. It's not totally clear what kind of job you're supposed to be doing. The requirements are also not very clear and not very specific. So, this is another tall tale sign. Is like, hey, it's probably a fake job ad. Now, the thing is, with the rise of our language models and our GPTs, right? It's very easy to make a very detailed job post, very easy, and use it as a fake job ad. Like, you don't even have to go through the effort of detailing the job yourself. So I think that maybe that particular tip might not be as useful in terms of like this. If you see a job that is very detailed description, very detailed requirements, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is a real job. It can still be a fake job ad. That's what I mean. Hey, good morning, Romney. Long time no see. No, not long time. I haven't seen you in like a day. Okay, let's check the next one. Unprofessional communication. Oh my God, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this, guys. Oof. All right. So unprofessional communication, weird email addresses, and poor grammar. Listen, I am dumbfounded by this. I am so dumbfounded by this. I'm not trying to burn anybody, but I'm gonna burn you. I don't care. You need to, if this applies to you, you need to change. You need to do something about this. There are so many legitimate companies in China, especially in the manufacturing sector, where they're either, who knows, they're making shoes or toilets or phones, who cares? They're making something, right? They're in manufacturing, right? There are so many of these companies and factories and whatever that they have salespeople or representatives that they have very unprofessional emails, either unprofessional names or just a whole big stream of numbers as their email, right? And their communication is god awful. They use a template. The template is very generic, and there is no personalization at all to those emails. And it looks like a fake message, it looks like a fake email. And then they get ignored by people. They get ignored by potential buyers, they get ignored by their leads, they get even ignored by their own clients because their emails look fake. Their messages look fake. It looks like something somebody just generated and sent it out. So if you take a little bit of time, and the grammar is a whole other story. Yes, we can argue like, oh, well, but what if they were trying to use Chinese to communicate? They would have the same problem. Well, yes, but you are that. So here's the thing. We need to make sure, especially if you're in manufacturing, right? You have a legitimate company, you're doing real business. You need to make sure that your emails and the messages that you're putting out are also legit. They also look professional. You have a professional email that actually includes the representative's name and at the company name. You need one of those, okay? That's number one. Number two, do not use a generic template. Actually write something that is specific to whoever it is you're trying to contact, whoever it is you're trying to sell to or communicate with. It's just, I remember like even from 2012, 2013 until now, I've received so many emails even before I came to China for like job openings and things like this, where I wondered, I was like, are these fake? Like these are really poorly constructed emails. And then later I came to understand like, oh, they're not fake job ads. They're actually real people, like as I actually engaged with some of them and I was like, oh, these are actual humans. I thought it was like a machine or something or like a scammer, but it's actually real people and they have real facilities and everything. And that's one of the things that if you have a company, if you have a factory or something like that, and you invest in one or two people who know how to professionally communicate and write emails and messages to clients, I think just doing that little bit will make you so much money above the competition. Because when potential buyers are looking at those emails, they don't just delete them or send them straight to the spam folder because it looks like illegitimate communication from a real company. It doesn't look fake. And when it comes to like buyers, especially buyers in the Americas or in Europe, they are constantly getting these fake emails, spam emails, scam emails, things like that. So it's very easy to look at one of these legitimate companies sending an inquiry email or whatever, or quote, and thinking, oh, this must be fake, and delete, send it to the trash. That's cool, Romney, but I'm not interested in that right now. That's not part of the topic. That's not what we're discussing. Any hoops. So let's see. Next bit. Upfront payments. Actually, I spoke about this yesterday, guys. If you are applying for a job and for any reason whatsoever, the company is asking you for money, run. That's it. Just run. There's no reason why the company should be asking you for money. None. Zero. If you're ever in a situation where you're applying for a job, you get accepted for a job and they're asking you for money, just cut it out. Don't waste your time. So I spoke about that a little more at length yesterday. I really need to do something about this lighting. Give me a second. This is just way too dark on the left side. Okay, that's better. I mean, I don't like the bulb, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, let's continue. So, beyond that, we're going to touch a little bit on recognizing toxic workplaces or a toxic work environment. But at the same time, we should also recognize what is a positive or constructive work environment. It can make all the difference. Personally, I would rather have a somewhat lower salary and work in a positive and constructive work environment as opposed to getting a higher salary and working in a very toxic work environment. That sucks. Where you have like no time, no freedom, and the company has you with like a ball and chain. Um, a really good example of this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Erica Taught Me YouTuber. Like, what is her name? Erica. I forgot her last name, but she's really, really famous, and she does like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. And one of the things that she did is like she was working. Either was she a lawyer or was she a, like a financial analyst? I want to say she was a lawyer. Yeah, she's a lawyer, but she was like a finance lawyer. So she was working for like a really big, um, I don't know specifically which company, but she was definitely working for something like a Goldman Sachs kind of thing or a JP Morgan corporate. So an investment bank or an investment firm. And she had a really, really good salary right out of school, six figures in dollars. Fantastic. But it got to the point where her grandfather was in the hospital, right? Her grandfather was literally dying, right? This is a story she tells. You can pull it up. And her boss was like calling her and saying, "Hey, where are you? What's going on? You have to talk to this client and do this thing, blah blah blah." And she told him like, "Hey, look, my grandfather's in the hospital. I need to go see him. This might be the last time I can see him." And basically, she was just pressed to keep working instead of going to see her grandfather. And she did. And she's like, "Okay," because he's like, "Hey, this is what we pay you so much money for, is so that we can make sure we can count on you all the time." And then fine. So she kept working. And by the time she was done and she made it to the hospital, her grandfather was already dead. From that time, you gotta see it and hear it in her own words, really. But what's that? Hmm? Oh, that was weird. It was like a video effect. But from that time, she already learned not to prioritize money and salary over like her own personal needs and her family and whatnot. And that even if it means getting paid less money, even if it means you're not living as luxuriously or whatever, having your freedom, especially to be able to be there for your family in their times of need or in their last moments, is much more important than collecting a salary. So I think it's something that we need to pay attention to in terms of like our work environment, the type of companies that we work for, the type of bosses or managers that we have, and what their whole thought process is when it comes to our personal lives and our work life balance. Let's see. So Alfred says, plus a legitimate job wouldn't have as many grammatical errors if posting a job as an ad in English. Yeah, I agree. The part that I'm trying to emphasize is not about the job. I'm emphasizing on like the companies. There's like a lot of Chinese companies, manufacturers in particular, who are like selling products and trading, and they have sent out these emails or these messages to leads or potential clients or even to their current clients that get ignored or get deleted or get blocked because of grammatical errors, unprofessional looking email addresses, this kind of thing. So that is a huge deal. That is a very, very big deal. And frankly speaking, if they invested just a little bit more money to get a person who's going to spot check these messages and these emails, I really believe they would get much better sales. That's interesting. So Alfred, very nice. Alfred says, another red flag is if a job reaches out to you first compared to you searching for a job manually. In general, I agree with this rule. In general, if there's companies that, or a particular company who's trying to reach out to you first and hire you beforehand and offer you an opportunity, chances are it's not legit. Chances are it's a big red flag, right? However, I would also say that if you are in like a high demand industry in a senior position, it is actually quite common to have companies reach out to you and offer you jobs and offer you salary boosts and benefits, etc. I only know this in this situation is because I have one friend who is like an AI engineer. And as you guys already know, AI engineers are very, very short in supply and super high in demand. So because of this reason, they get tons of job offers from companies all over the world, and they have ridiculously high salary job offers. Um, but again, these are very special circumstances. If you are in a very high demand field and you have high demand skills that are in short supply, then you can expect that companies and headhunters or recruiters are going to be looking out for you. All right, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember if you are enjoying this conversation, this discussion, please hit that follow button. We got a cool little gold follow button and get yourself a VIP badge too, because yes, you know, my morning streams don't have as much momentum as my evening streams have had, like at the beginning of the year. Because in the evening streams, we will have anything from 400 to 500 concurrent viewers at a time, and the messages would just be like scrolling fast. But you know what? The quality of our viewers in the morning is so much better than that at the evening. I would say that. So one of the things that I had to do was like in the evening stream, I would only really pay attention to like the messages from like VIP labels. It's not because they paid anything, because it's less than 1 yuan, is less than point 10 cents that they pay to get like the VIP badge. But it just shows me that they stand out in the chat and that this is a person that has been here several times. And then that allows me to ignore most of the other messages. But in the morning, we don't have such a huge rush. So that's why it's not as big of a deal. Anyway, so that's that. Also, if you would like to message me directly and ask about personal development or business consulting, especially if you're trying to start your own business, feel free to add me on WeChat. The WeChat ID is the same as the channel name, Komitlive, Komitlive. So one of the things that my agency specializes in is twofold. We support foreigners who are coming to China to start a business, start companies, work permits, visas, the whole nine, right? But the other thing is that we also help Chinese companies, serious Chinese companies, recruit foreign talent. Whether you need salespeople, trade people, you need folks to work with social media content creation, we can definitely help you recruit someone from whichever country that you need to speak whatever language. We have a lot of people in our talent pool, of course. But so yeah, feel free to add me and message me, let me know what you need, and we can help you out. And if you're just starting out, you're looking to start your own business, also message me. You know, we have a whole nice, big, chunky team of people working to make things as seamless as possible for you in terms of setting up your business and all your other accounts so that you can focus on what you're actually good at, which is getting the work done. Wow, that is an interesting conclusion, Fiona. Where are you from? That's a very good question. I mean, where are you from is a good question, Fiona. You yourself. I did live with a Puerto Rican family for a while. I did. But I am not Puerto Rican myself. Go figure. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. You must be from the US, or you must have lived in the US. Oh, so Ruru, I don't actually do the evening streams. I haven't had time to do it. I just kind of randomly pop it out here and there. So our stream schedule is actually Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. is where we start talking about the topic. Usually I try to start earlier, like 7:30, 7:40, just warm up and chat and get the ball rolling. But the topic actually starts at 8 a.m. and we finish at 9. Oh, well, that doesn't really make sense. Oh, dude, you're good, Alfred. Don't worry about it. Your name stands out. You write down the wisdom and the gold. Don't worry about it. I do not speak English, my friend. I do not. Okay, so we went over we were just going over like how to spot those fake job ads. I really hope the person who asked the question yesterday was actually here to hear that, like, because they asked yesterday and they might not even be here today. That's awkward. Um, but yeah, so we went over that. So what we will do is, oh, today's Friday. Sheesh, today's Friday. That means we don't have time to go over identifying or recognizing toxic work environments. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do, guys. This is what I'm gonna do. Oh, 谢谢送礼物，谢谢送爱心的朋友们. Thank you so much. Thank you for the hearts. It helps to pay for these very expensive camera and light that I just happened to get this week. So painful. Thank you. Anyway. Oh, you are here. Thank goodness. All right, the person who asked the question apparently is here. I'm so happy you're here because I only pulled all that stuff out for you because you asked the question. Thank you so much. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, guys, if you need to leave because it's almost 9 o'clock, feel free. Then, okay, I will see you on Monday if you need to go. But I'm going to stay and we're gonna go over like toxic work environment situations and how to spot like a good work environment kind of thing. Just because today's Friday, and if we wait until Monday to continue the topic, I feel like it doesn't have the same consistency. And on Monday we can start a new topic. I think that's a better thing to do. Yeah. Uh, Thank you so much, Romney. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, yes, stay amazing, stay beautiful. I'm gonna continue, and if you have to go, go. I will see you. Stay great. Also, if you have the time, go into my channel, like some of my videos, comment on them if you can. If you can't, it's okay, but just hit the like button on a bunch of my videos. It helps drive traffic, and we're trying to get 50,000 followers. Right now, we're just over 44,000, just over 44,000. And we're trying to get 50,000 followers so that we can get the clearance and permission so that when I am traveling, I can still do the live stream from anywhere in the world. That would be the ideal situation. Because sometimes I travel for work or on vacation or something like that, and I can't live stream. And it just kills the momentum. It sucks. And I do want to show you guys places I go and the things that we're doing, stuff like that. But I can only do it on YouTube. I can't do it on WeChat. So if we can get over 50,000, that would be amazing. Just hit like on random videos. It doesn't matter. Comment if you can. It helps out a lot for sure. All right, so let's continue. So recognizing a toxic workplace. Let's do this. So number one, high turnover, no work-life balance, and controlling management. I think that the first thing that we need to do is before you actually apply for a company, or it's okay, you can apply for whatever company. Like they treat us like trash applying, so we treat them like trash and just treat them as part of the collection. But before you go to an interview with a company, right? If they've already accepted your application and they're taking you in for an interview, definitely do your homework. Do your research, guys. Go online, do some homework, find out as much as you can about the company, find out about their history, especially as it relates to the staff and the work environment. Because for sure, if there's a toxic work culture or environment in a company, you're going to find tons of people writing about it online. For sure. If you are researching a company and you find like one person or two people in several years that are complaining about the company and the work environment, that's not really a big deal. It could be a they issue. But when the company is really bad in terms of how they treat their employees and the work environment and whatnot, you are going to find tons of bad reviews. You will find it. So before you go on an interview, take some time, go online, do the homework, do your due diligence, prepare yourself, and just be aware of those things. Because honestly speaking, sometimes it's better to not have a job than to have a bad job. I'm just saying. It's better to not have a job than to have a bad job where you're going to be stressed unnecessarily and you're not going to be appreciated and you're going to be exploited. So keep that in mind. Yeah. So if you're trying to see the live streams from today or yesterday or any time before, you go into my channel, you go to the section that says replay, and in the replay section, you're going to find all the old live streams from the beginning to the end. The short videos are just clips that I take from the live streams, and then I will post it on YouTube, TikTok, WeChat, whatever. Okay, so yes, if you find that a company has a high turnover rate where employees or people get hired there, but then they leave within 3 months or 6 months or something like that, you probably don't want to waste your time. If you don't see that people are able to stay and work in that company for at least regularly for like at least 2 years, it's probably not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. Anything under 2 years that happens constantly is not a good sign. Another thing is, I would say, like, controlling management. Sometimes you will definitely get, it's going to be a 50-50 situation. When you get interviewed by like a hiring manager or an HR person, you might get the representative. They're really nice and really friendly and really welcoming. They make everything seem beautiful. That's cool. If you want to know how they really are, ask them questions. When you go to the interview or before you go to the interview, prepare a list of questions for them. This is how you will see what they are really like. If you can ask them questions and they don't feel defensive or they don't tighten up or toughen up with you during the interview, then you know actually the work environment is pretty good. It's pretty cool. But if you ask them questions and they get defensive and they're very hesitant to answer you, or they become kind of rude, then you know that you don't want to work in that place. I always use that as a tall tale sign. If I interview my interviewer respectfully, of course, respectfully, and they take that offensively, then no, I won't work for that company. Like, good riddance, I didn't waste my time. So prepare some questions, some legitimate questions that you have, and ask your interviewer things about their company, things about the work environment. Then you will know what they're really like. Don't let them fool you by being the really nice, sweet representative, because sometimes they're just really desperate to hire people. Sometimes. Oh man, that's a different situation. So Lotus says, sometimes there's a click in my work environment. How to deal with the situation, especially if you are newer. Oh boy. I think, you know what? I need to finish this thing about identifying the toxic work environment first, and then later we can talk about clicks. But for me, my personal experience with this is that I don't get involved. I don't worry about anybody's click. I really don't. I'm like, I have a job to do, and I'm going to do that job to the best of my ability, to beyond the best of my ability. And if I see that that effort is recognized, I'm happy. I can keep trucking, right? If the effort is not recognized, I very promptly start looking for a new job. That's it. I don't worry about people's clicks. So a click, it means like, let's say you have an office of like 20 people, right? And then there's like these 8 people that are always together and they're always either gossiping about people or starting trouble or whatever. This is a clique. It's just like if it was high school, there's like, oh, these are the cool kids, you know, the cool kids all hang out together and they like kind of push off everybody else or pressure other people, this kind of stuff. The clique. Yeah, I don't worry about those guys. They never end up on top anyway, so it doesn't matter. At least to me. So, next point. So, toxic workplace environment signs during an interview: rude behavior, unclear company goals, and evading questions about culture. Very, very good. I already mentioned this. So good thing the talking points refer to that again. When you are in the interview, you're asking the person questions, they're having a hard time answering your questions, or they become defensive or rude about your questions. This is a clear sign you don't want to work there. Another thing, they don't have clear company goals. They don't actually know what their mission statement is. Then you might want to be a little bit careful about that. Yeah, it's like a us versus them mentality, Romney. It's just like they have their little group and they protect their little group and they take care of the little group and then ostracize everybody else or bully them. Yeah, exactly. A small bunch that gang up on others. Exactly. Okay, so next talking point, finding real opportunities. Okay, so if you find that the job post has clear job roles and descriptions, right? It's very cleared, it's very detailed. The pay is transparent. They tell you exactly how much they're paying. They're not being vague about the pay. And then the communication is also respectful. They're actually very considerate and they treat you like a human, not like an object. Then it's those are signs of a potentially positive work environment if you were to work for that company for sure. I think that the pay transparency is one of the most tall telling signs right there. It's like if you have the company that puts exactly how much they pay and they're not vague about it, they're like, hey, this is what we offer, this is what we pay, period. Then that's pretty good because you can tell that even if it's not very high or whatever, you can tell that they're not BSing you. They're being transparent, they're being direct and upfront with you, and they're not going to try to manipulate the situation. Oftentimes, you will see companies put up job ads and they're like, pay negotiable, negotiable. All the pay is negotiable. We can always negotiate. It was sometimes we don't need to negotiate. Just actually tell us what you're going to be willing to pay for those qualifications that you're asking for. That's it. Make things transparent. If they make things negotiable, that means that they're going to try to manipulate the situation and sweet talk you into taking a lower salary, even though you're qualified or even above the qualifications that they're looking for. I would tell you one of the things is that if you meet the qualifications that they're looking for, right? I think that the company should just pay for what they need to pay, period, right? Now, let's say, what people relate to a lot, especially foreigners, where it's like working for schools or universities, right? If the school is looking for a person with like a master's degree, right, and 4 years of experience, and they're offering hypothetically 15K, and you happen to have a PhD, right? And you're like, well, I have a PhD and I would like to get at least 20K. I am okay with the company refusing your proposal. I am totally okay with that because they never requested a PhD candidate in the first place, right? They requested a master's degree candidate and they were willing to pay for someone with a master's degree. So if the company is only offering you 15K, even though you have a PhD, I don't think that's necessarily that the company is trying to underpay you. It's just that your qualification is above and beyond what they actually need and what they are actually willing to pay for or have a budget for. So to me, that situation makes sense. But if they are offering you a bachelor's or a master's type of salary for a person, but they're requiring that you have a PhD, then they are definitely underpaying you. That's where we cross the level of nonsense. That's very good to hear, my friend. Very, very good to hear. Hmm. I like that. I drink my tea and ignore the click. That's funny. That's good. All right, so let's see. Clear job bros, transparent, pay respect. So one thing that we did in my old company when we were hiring, we would offer the people that we interview, we would offer them to speak to the staff. Like we'd be like, okay, so these are the people that we have on staff. If there's somebody that you want to talk to yourself privately, we can send you their Facebook or their email or whatever. You can communicate with them yourself. and you can ask them questions about the company, about living here and working here, and so on and so forth. So I think that's really, really helpful that when you have a candidate that you really, really want that you interviewed, you give them full transparency and you even let them talk to your staff one on one. That's fantastic. Because like privately through their own means, that's fantastic because they can honestly ask what they want to ask and get a real answer from people who actually work there. That's good. Good morning, Annie. Let's see. It's not something everybody's going to do, though, of course. All right. So, next sign of a good work environment or good company culture, employee testimonials, LinkedIn insights, inclusive team vibes. That's very good. So, if you can find, like, I don't know about which Chinese websites you would use. I'm not sure if the Boss app shows this kind of stuff. But in the US, if you're looking at like Glassdoor or LinkedIn, you can easily find people talking about the company and working there. You can find testimonials, especially in Glassdoor because they're anonymous usually. You'll find testimonials of people who worked at a company and what their experience is like, what the environment was like, the good things, the bad things, and everything in between. So it's very good to use these websites and get a good look at what you're getting yourself into before you decide to accept an employment contract for sure. I understand, Lotus. That can be rough, but we can elaborate more on that next week though. So I gotta wrap this one up. So Romney says everyone wants to be a civil servant in China. What is your take? Really quick, the thing for this is the same as in the US. Is that usually when you take a government job, you get really good benefits that go with the government job. The salaries are not fantastic, but retirement benefits and like 401ks and whatever, healthcare, whatever you need, government jobs usually do very well in that respect on the benefit side. And your output is very minimal. Like it's not hard for you to keep your job when you have a government job. And I think like this is actually the reason most people want to be a civil servant or work for or have a government job anywhere in the world. This is usually the reason. Like you're not expected to do anything extraordinary or revolutionary. You don't really have serious quotas to keep. It's easy to keep your job and the benefits are actually quite good. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you are enjoying this conversation, make sure you hit that follow button. And if you want to contact me directly, you can add me, Comment Live, KOMITLIVE, on the WeChat user ID. All right, let's see. Let's see if I have anything more, if I have any more good talking points here. Yes. hmm Okay, so let's see. During the application process, and this is interesting. So the talking point goes during the application process, personalized communication. Legit companies address you professionally and respond promptly. That's one thing that I always found the problem with is that a lot of the time when you're trying to communicate with a company through the application process, they take forever to respond. Forever, forever. They're really not prompt about it. And I understand, you have your day to day work and your business to go on about. Um, but it would probably be a good sign if a company has a dedicated HR team or dedicated hiring department, sort of. That would probably be a good sign because otherwise, it means that you have management that is taking on multiple roles and are trying to manage doing the day to day work, but also recruitment and promotions and things like that. It can be really, really complicated. So that's one thing, yes. If the company is very prompt in answering your messages or your questions and they're very clear, then I think that's definitely a good sign. Because time is money. Time is money. I don't got time to waste. All right, folks, let's wrap it up right there. Thank you so much. We're going to be set for today. Happy Friday. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. We should have a nice and chill, relaxed Saturday, Sunday. Quick detail, I don't think I will be doing a live stream on Monday morning. I don't think I'll be on Monday morning. We have like a company trip thing to do this weekend, and we'll be back in the office on Monday afternoon. So that means Monday morning, I'm likely not going to be doing a live stream. If I do the live stream, it will be probably really off the cuff on the phone in the hotel kind of thing. But it's not likely. So if I don't see you on Monday, I will see you on Tuesday at 8 a.m. So just keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the conversation, please make sure you hit that follow button and hit the VIP button while you're at it. Also, thank you to everybody who dropped gifts. Thank you for the hearts, the coffees, and the energy drinks. I appreciate it. It's going to go a long way to pay for the lights and the cameras that we just got this week. So, 谢谢你，谢谢送礼物的朋友们. And again, just to give you a quick disclaimer for my sponsor, which is my own agency, of course, we specialize in supporting either foreign business owners who are trying to start up their businesses in China, or if you need work permit support or anything else, business visas, etc., we can help you do that. But also for the Chinese companies who are looking for foreign talent or foreign experts, doesn't matter what it is. If you need people that are going into trade, if people who are going to engineering, manufacturing, education, etc. Actually, we have a very large talent pool of foreign experts who have lived and worked in China. So if you're a company and you are also looking to hire foreigners or to partner with foreign companies, you can also contact us because we help consult on that respect. And on the one-to-one basis, I do personal development consulting and I do business consulting. If you're a person who is curious about starting your own business in China, let me know. I can consult for you. I'll help you out. So with that said, we are set for today. Have a good Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Look at every challenge or every difficulty, including clicks, as a learning experience. Stay beautiful, stay amazing, and I will see you probably on Tuesday, but maybe also on Monday. We will see. Bye-bye. Stay fly. Bye-bye.